In this video, we will explore how Stoic philosophy can offer insights into protecting our inner peace when dealing with toxic people and learning to let go of them. The Stoic thinkers provide a rational, ethical framework for maintaining our own equanimity and values, rather than reacting with anger or allowing dysfunction to impact our well-being. I appreciate the Stoics because they recognize we cannot control others, only ourselves. We'll discuss constructive Stoic approaches focused on self-regulation of our judgments and desires. This helps us avoid overreacting and making situations worse. Though written long ago, Stoic ideas resonate today, and I believe reflecting on them can provide helpful, ethical perspective. My goal is to share these insights respectfully, not to judge others, but to empower our ability to respond with wisdom. I hope these ancient ideas may offer some practical support to those dealing with difficult situations or relationships. Please watch to the end to fully understand the nuanced Stoic view on upholding both inner peace and kindness when faced with narcissism. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you being here today. Number 1. Accept that change is inevitable. Toxic people can drain our energy and drag us down emotionally. Learning how to detach from them is an invaluable skill for well-being. The Stoic philosophers of ancient Greece and Rome provide timeless wisdom that can help. A key mindset shift is accepting that change is inevitable when it comes to relationships. As the Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice." People tend to come and go over the course of our lives. It's simply the natural flow. Childhood friends drift away, colleagues change jobs, and even family members may become estranged. As painful as these shifts can be, resisting them only causes more suffering. We become attached to an idea of how things should be rather than accepting how they are. To detach in a healthy way, we have to come to terms with life's impermanence. People change, situations evolve, and clinging on to the past will leave you stuck there. Rather than judging or blaming, practice non-reaction. Be like the Stoic sage, who calmly lets go of what they cannot control. When you stop struggling against the inevitable changes in relationships, you free up energy to focus on the positive ones. Monitor your self-talk as well. It's easy to fall into victim mode, but that grants toxic people even more power over you. Keep in mind that while we cannot choose everything that happens to us, we have authority over our perspective and responses. Separate your worth from this other person's behavior or approval. Their toxicity likely stems from their own inner turmoil, rather than being a genuine reflection on your value. Prioritize your mental space for healthy connections instead of fixating on an unhealthy one. Number 2. Reflect on the good times. Even toxic people likely brought some sunshine into your life at one point. Though the relationship turned painful, dwelling only on that darkness keeps you stuck. To detach in a healthy way, take a page from the Stoics and consciously reflect on the good times and positive impacts as well. This isn't about rationalizing poor behavior or denying the hard stuff. The reality is complicated. Most connections that turned sour still started off as sweet. There were probably inside jokes, adventures, and vulnerable conversations before dysfunction crept in. Even if it ended terribly, reflecting on the spark it once held can help let go with less bitterness. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Consider how much more pain is brought on us by anger and grief than by those things for which we feel anger and grief." By focusing only on unpleasant memories about this person, it actually causes more suffering in the present. We end up tormenting ourselves long after the relationship expired. Instead, try to recall your fond memories together with equanimity. Remember the laughter, breakthroughs, and bonding without attachment or rose-colored glasses. This balanced reflection diffuses some toxicity and helps the separation feel more like a natural progression rather than an angry break. When people asked what seems to help individuals lead more meaningful lives, reminiscing about good parts of their past was a top response. Though your time with this person ultimately had to end, bring to mind the happy glimpses it contained too. Let the full scope sink in with openness to both the highs and the lows. Keep channeling this mindful, big-picture view whenever bitter thoughts arise going forward. By honoring the complete landscape of what the relationship once held, you give it a proper goodbye rather than an embittered slamming of the door. This is what Marcus meant by dealing with the grief in a way that causes less pain. Be at peace with how things once were, which allows being at peace with how things are now. Number 3. Don't take it personally. When a toxic person departs from our lives, our knee-jerk reaction is often to take it very personally. We may hear an inner voice shouting about how unworthy or unlovable we are. But remember the Stoic wisdom. Other people's behavior tends to say more about their inner world than about our worth. The Roman philosopher Epictetus said, "People are disturbed not by things but by their view of things." Someone leaving us is an action. It's the meaning we assign to it that causes suffering. When we automatically assume their exit is proof that something is wrong with us, we suffer twofold. First from their mistreatment, then from the self-torment about what it says about our value. But their choice to leave or spread toxicity is more a reflection of their own turmoil. As Epictetus said, "You will find rest from vain fancies if you perform every act in life as if it were your last." Perhaps they got distracted chasing shallow things rather than nurturing connection. Maybe old wounds caused them to strike out, or they fall into unhealthy patterns in relationships that keep repeating. Their behavior likely says more about their struggles. One powerful practice is to imagine such a person as a child, letting their pain and immaturity show. It helps dissolve some bitterness and prevents magnifying their actions. Remember, their choices are not actually about your worth, no matter how much it feels that way in the moment. Have compassion for their suffering driving them, rather than inflaming your own. Learning to separate their decisions from your value also unburdens you to create space for people who do cherish you. The Stoics talk of the citadel within, the inner strength and worth that external things can't shake. Nothing can diminish your light without your consent. Release what's beyond your control to focus on those who truly see, nurture, and celebrate your unique gifts. Number 4, allow yourself to feel the emotions. Severing ties with someone toxic can flood us with difficult emotions: grief over lost hopes, anger at broken trust, sadness about feeling abandoned. Our instinct may be to suppress those feelings so we can try moving on. But the Stoics knew that denying such emotions only causes them to resurface later even stronger, like a river that builds up force when blocked. As Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Feelings caused by a person leaving are not the real problem. It's our judgment about what it means that overwhelms us. So allow yourself to fully experience the feelings rather than harshly repress them. Cry if you need to cry, vent if you need to vent. Process the grief running its course rather than bottling it up. Suppressed emotions end up erupting later on or weighing on our health and mood under the surface. Once you've made space for the valid hurt, anger, and sadness, remember that you still have authority over your perspective. When ready, purposefully shift your inner narrative about the situation. See it as a tough but necessary step in your growth. Use it as motivation to create stronger boundaries moving forward. Forgive, not for their sake, but for your own peace. This dance between honoring difficult emotions then evolving our outlook is key. Don't deny what you genuinely feel. That never ends well. But also don't let it color your whole worldview either. By fully allowing the challenging feelings, then consciously reshaping their meaning, you process grief without prolonging grudges. The Stoics would be proud of you for facing the feelings courageously, then centering yourself again. This clears space for acceptance, recovery, and maybe one day even forgiveness. Healthy detachment becomes possible once you grant emotions their due course rather than sealing them off. Feel it all, then feel better. Number 5, practice gratitude. The sting of a toxic person leaving can obscure the fact that you likely have things to be grateful for from the time you did spend with them. As unfair as it may feel, practicing active gratitude is pivotal for closure. The Stoics knew that when we lose sight of what we're grateful for, emotions easily spiral. Focus on the ways this individual may have positively impacted you, even if the overall arc was painful. Did conversations with them spark key insights about boundaries or family dynamics? Perhaps certain interests first came alive for you through their influence. Even a tragic movie can profoundly move us. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, and surly. Yet here are some among them who have good qualities as well, who are rational and neighborly and friendly, if only a little." He was speaking about humanity in general, but it applies to individuals too. Exercising gratitude requires acknowledging the good and bad coexisting, that lights and shadows both dance across all things. It doesn't mean denying harm done but not rejecting the value once shared either. Master the art of holding both truths in tension. When you catch bitter thoughts creeping back about this person's toxicity, purposefully shift to what you gained from the time together before things curdled. Think also of how fully cutting ties now frees your energy to cultivate new healthy connections instead. Progress often requires outgrowing situations, even meaningful ones. Practicing radical gratitude in this way is tough but transformative. It may not come instantly. Start small, maybe just being thankful for a single quality they brought out in you. Build up gratitude gradually to reframe the narrative on your terms. This helps positive closure unfold one breath at a time. Number 6. Forgive if needed. Forgiveness is easily the most challenging step when detaching from toxicity. The impulse for vengeance can run hot, stoked by lingering feelings of betrayal. It may seem weak or even dangerous to relinquish blame and forgive, but the Stoics teach this is actually where true power lies. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy, Marcus Aurelius advised. When we remain embittered, who is really being punished long-term, us or them? More than likely, we simply poison our own well-being while they move on untouched. Resentment is drinking poison, hoping the other person dies. Forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation, nor does it require approving of harmful actions. You can still firmly sever ties. Instead, it means releasing the expectation of a different past. Radically accept that while you did not deserve mistreatment, it nevertheless happened. Relinquishing resentment then clears space for peace. This isn't easy and there's no set timeline. Focus first on forgiving yourself for anything you think you did to deserve toxicity. Remember that compassion starts from within. Next, view the pain that likely shaped their harmful patterns, even if it doesn't excuse their actions. This begins dissolving bitterness. The Stoics teach that people act out of misguided notions of good more than pure malevolence. While consequences still stand, seeing things this way cools rage's fire. When ready, purposefully wish this person well on their journey, even if from afar. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. This is the grace of forgiveness. Number 7. Have closure conversations. If safe and appropriate, consider meeting up or having phone calls specifically for closure after detaching from a toxic person. Getting the chance to ask burning questions, voice impacted feelings, and gain understanding can powerfully help the separation sink in. Of course, this is situational. Gauge your unique context thoughtfully. The Stoics advise speaking our truth, but detaching from results. We cannot guarantee the other party will own harm, validate our experience, or even care to meet up at all. Their response or lack thereof is out of our control. Instead, focus on expressing your side for your own integrity and coherent narrative. Think carefully about what core things you need to say or ask so this person fully hears the impact of their actions before parting ways. Keep statements thoughtful but unambiguous. When you criticized my biggest insecurity, it made me feel worthless and really damaged my ability to trust, for example. Follow with space for their perspective. The goal is mutual understanding, not changing their mind. Even if they respond poorly or not at all, know that you grounded the relationship with truth and self-respect. Consider writing a letter with the same purpose if meeting up would risk more harm than healing. Voice impacts they can ponder at their own pace without pressure to reply. Finally, after sharing your piece, purposefully wish them well moving forward, even if from afar. This clean severance honors your power and agency above all. Taking this high road prevents their toxicity from spilling over into your bright future. Consider it the final lesson your difficult time together provides about the person you want to be. Number 8. Focus inward. Detaching from toxicity understandably leaves an emotional void. Before trying to fill that space with the next thing, use this transition to focus inward instead. Immerse in self-care practices that inspire wholeness from the inside out. The Stoics knew that true joy results from mindset, not external conditions. Perhaps toxic patterns made you lose touch with your inherent worth and talents. Rebuild by creating space to reconnect with your core self, not the one shaped by others' mistreatment. Explore activities that made you feel alive and excited as a child, before other voices drowned out your spirit. Treat yourself with the gentle compassion you might show a close friend going through tough times. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, people look for retreats for themselves in the country, by the coast, or in the hills. There is nowhere that a person can find a more peaceful and trouble-free retreat than in his own mind. After detaching from toxicity, return to who you are independent of any one relationship. When we leave room to heal inward wounds and honor buried passions, our inner light grows brighter. From this revitalized sense of self, you can then evaluate new connections or opportunities on your terms. Use the space created not to rush into the next thing, but to firmly re-establish your sovereign realm within. All the understanding, forgiveness, and letting go in the world means little unless self-love fuels it underneath. So retreat purposefully into your sanctum, practice mindfulness to quiet criticizing voices, and give yourself patience to rediscover what makes your soul come alive. From there, you beam love outwards instead of desperately seeking it inwards. Number 9. Look ahead. The most powerful closure comes when we fully feel a loss yet still tilt our gaze ahead with hope. Once you have processed the emotions, insights, and lessons from detaching, consciously look to how life may blossom for you on a clean slate. How can this experience make you wiser and more conscious of your boundaries? What kind of connections nourish rather than diminish your spirit? The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "We suffer more from imagination than reality." When a relationship that once sustained you ends, it's understandable to catastrophize about isolation or permanence of pain. But don't let fear beat your spirit down. This too shall pass, leaving you wiser. Purposefully shift from lingering on what's closing behind you to musing on what's opening up instead. Reflect on how you've grown into a more self-assured version of yourself. Consider how to carry newly found worth into future bonds, so this strength becomes the rule rather than exception. When one river bend closes off, another always comes into view if you are brave enough to float on. You may not feel ready to fully engage life again yet, and that's okay. Healing takes time. But in quiet moments, envision how this transition might plant seeds for a thrilling new chapter, where past scars bloom into sources of pride. The Stoics teach that obstacles often prepare us beautifully for futures we can't yet fully see. Know that this pain too has purpose in the grand scheme of your heroic journey. Staying grounded in that trust allows hope to endure anything. You'll not just survive, but resurrect, transformed for having walked through the fire. Number 10. Give space and time. Be gentle with yourself when trying to detach from toxicity. There is no perfect timeline. Allow yourself to let go organically at your own pace without self-judgment. Attempting to force emotions or wholly move on right away often backfires. Accept this as a non-linear process of ups and downs. The Stoic Seneca wrote, "Time heals what reason cannot." When judged against expectations for linear progress, our emotional waves may seem like failures dragging us backwards. But looked at more closely, those dips and peaks are actually essential to recovering wholeness. Honor that wisdom by not rushing or reprimanding yourself if toxic habits or hurt feelings resurface months later. Consider it natural gravity finding equilibrium again rather than losing ground. Breathe through it with self-compassion, then rediscover your center once more. See each back and forth oscillation as an opportunity to strengthen your inner spirit's resilience and commitment to self-care. Emotional fitness grows like physical muscles, through repetitive motion and gradually increasing endurance for the burn rather than all at once. What may have once upended you for weeks now may be just a passing afternoon storm. So refrain from measuring your progress in detachment by time past or feelings present. Instead, watch how consciously you catch yourself when slipping into past grievances, how quickly you recentering after dips. Growth hides in how wisely you relate to the process. Keep circling back patiently to create mindful space for your soul, to rebuild coherence after turmoil. By allowing yourself to let go organically rather than forcing detachment on a rigid schedule, you honor your nature's wisdom, which always leads to healing in due time. Number 11. Embrace moments of pain mindfully. Progress in detaching from toxicity won't always feel positive. Sometimes it aches profoundly. When painful moments creep back in, triggered memories, pangs of grief over losing someone, the instinct is to recoil and reject them as steps backward. But remember, the Stoics saw wisdom in befriending pain. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe that out now." Feelings caused by this person prove the underlying wounds still need tending in order to heal. Avoiding or resisting that pain means avoiding real recovery. So embrace the dark, messy emotions as they arise. Breathe into them, really feel them. Thank them even for their awkward wisdom. Pain is merely blocked energy and information trying to flow again. Stay present with it until it crests, washes over, and disperses naturally rather than forcing suppression. Diving into the dark makes room for the light. Reframe moments of acute suffering as proof you are progressing toward freedom from lingering toxicity. Setbacks prepare you for comebacks if you release judgment and open up to their lessons with courage. This too shall pass. Use the pain when it appears not as punishment but as a compass, showing you where inner obstacles still block wholehearted living. By learning to mindfully embrace and metabolize what hurts, you build spiritual muscles to thrive beyond fair-weather connections alone. Your capacity to hold opposites expands. This allowing of growing pains without shame is itself the letting go which detaching requires. Through befriending even intense moments of darkness floating up from the past, you arm yourself to dwell one day unshakable in pure light. Keep breathing through. It means progress looms ahead. Number 12. Find healthy distractions. Letting go of toxic attachments leaves empty space that our minds naturally want to fill by rehashing the past. When ruminating thoughts arise, turn to healthy distractions instead. Hobbies, friends, family, art, volunteering. This prevents overthinking while still allowing feelings to fully process. The Stoics knew obsessing over something not in our control only breeds suffering, whereas engaging in meaningful activities returns us to peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Unpopular though it may be, divert your attention from externals, upon which you have no influence, toward what is yours to master." Rather than fruitlessly reanalyzing details trying to control someone who hurt you, focus on uplifting outlets offering a renewed sense of flow. Cook a nourishing meal, call a positive friend you haven't caught up with in a while, go on adventures that make you feel alive. Enjoy simply inhabiting your body without worrying over anyone else's. This isn't about forcing toxic thoughts out through sheer distraction. Suppressed emotions inevitably resurface later. Instead, it means making space for joy alongside pain's healthy processing, trusting that both have their own timing and value. Struggle and laughter can coincide. Keep exploring new horizons, knowing that darkness left unresolved will wait patiently to be addressed another day. But don't avoid it forever. Sit regularly with feelings to metabolize them before getting on with living. By learning to dance gracefully between sitting with sadness and celebrating life regardless, you master non-duality, embracing the full truth of each moment just as it is. I hope sharing these Stoic perspectives and practices has sparked insight into protecting your inner peace when dealing with difficult people or situations. Remember that you have control over your responses, judgments, and what you choose to focus on. While some relationships sadly turn toxic or have to end, see it as part of life's flow. Process the emotions mindfully, retain the lessons, forgive if possible, then refocus on the brightness still around and ahead. Honor both the pain and the joy. Your worth isn't defined by someone else's limitations. Nurture the light within, set healthy boundaries moving forward, and lean into community. You have so much good left to offer the world. May reflecting on these Stoic ideas help transform obstacles into opportunities for growth. As always, take what resonates and leave the rest. Wishing you patience and compassion on your journey. Please subscribe and share if you found this helpful. Until next time, may you find peace and serenity in the Stoic ways.